Hello everyone, I'm DeAngelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your video review of Disney Epic Mickey by Junction Studios. It takes a lot of balls to put an adjective like epic in the title of your video game, but when you're as esteemed and successful as Disney, it might not seem like such a stretch at all. The House of Mouse has a mascot that has already proven his worth over the years, and even quite recently shows that he has the capability to be a badass. When Epic Mickey was first leaked on the internet, people were hesitant to believe that the franchise could handle such a dark and twisted turn. As information trickled in and pictures and video became more readily available, there was less and less to be afraid of, or so it seemed. The title claims that this Mickey Mouse game is epic, but does it really make the grade? In a move similar to his character from Fantasia, Mickey Mouse lets his inquisitive nature drive him to doing some pretty brash and dangerous things. Mickey is drawn by his curiosity into a magic mirror that leads him into the home of the sorcerer Yen Sid, who is creating a world through the use of a magic paintbrush. Mickey just can't let things be and plays around with the brush, ultimately creating a monster called the Shadow Blot. Hearing Yen Sid approaching, he escapes the wizard's home and forgets all about his dubious actions. Many months later, however, the Shadow Blot consumes Mickey and pulls him into Wasteland, the world where obscure and forgotten Disney characters like Gus the Gremlin and Oswald the Rabbit call home. Mickey has to work together with the denizens of this dark and strange place to find his own way home. There isn't anything too surprising here as far as narratives go. Nothing's going to blow your mind, and the story is fairly juvenile, beguiling as it was and seeming quite twisted at the forefront. Epic Mickey is a straightforward platformer with some excellent concepts. At the helm of this game's interesting nature is the magic brush. Coupled with either paint or thinner, Mickey can do all kinds of things to proceed through Wasteland. If you need to make your way through a steam-filled boiler room, you can either paint a pipe into existence, funneling up the harmful mist, or you can use paint thinner to completely remove a gear and slide by. The concept is solid, but it only has a slippery grasp on the gameplay. Aiming the paintbrush doesn't feel as intuitive as you'd imagine, and you only have a limited supply of paint or thinner. Once you start to run out, you have to be a little more careful with your choices or just wait until they refill. The mix of materials forces Mickey into a lot of inner debates. You can let the mouse greedily hoard treasure, or you can save innocent bystanders of the world. You can use your money to make your trip through each of the stages easier, or you can stubbornly press on by yourself, defying the odds. There's also a sketch mechanic that you get later in the game, which helps you sway the difficulty of puzzles and combat. You could materialize a clock into the game, for instance, which slows down time. And while the game sits on an interesting premise, it isn't strong enough to really give it a memorable turn in the spotlight. Eerie and foreboding is exactly the opposite of what you think of when you picture Mickey Mouse. Yet here, Junction Studios manages just fine. Artistically speaking, the world is vibrant, interesting, and clever. However, the source material is kind of drab over time, with things beginning to feel too drawn out. The developer did a nice job of touching things up when they could, but a good amount of the game feels unnecessary and redundant. Ironically, things feel most refined when you look at some of the cutscenes that are hand-drawn. This is due in part because of the shoddy camera system that follows through most of the game. The music is catchy and impressive. You'll hear familiar samples of old Disney tunes and brand new melodies that really fit the mood of this game in ways that will force a smile to form. The sound is even more disappointing in comparison. While most of the world's noises are only forgettable, Mickey presents as an atrocious protagonist without voice, but with grunts and groans that are so annoying they give Navi from Ocarina of Time a run for her money. This is Mickey from ages past, and while it was a choice that the developer went with, it feels like the wrong one. The major draw of this game is in its collectibles. There are a ton of hidden items that you need to find by using your paint and thinner, or just by having a keen eye. They're spread throughout the levels, even in the two-dimensional old-school references. Unfortunately, these rewards are fairly mundane and flat, leaving you with no real drive to find them. With the inclusion of both paint and thinner, there are some different ways that you can play out certain scenarios. If you do choose to go back, it might be fun to switch it up. You can tell that there was some thought put into this game. The concept is there and it stretches boundaries of your mind that you aren't thinking of all the time. There are some excellent points that this game should get credit for, but for almost all of the positive feedback that I can give, there's also some downside. This game isn't epic after all, but it is competent in being mildly amusing. That's Entertainment awards Disney Epic Mickey a score of 7.5 out of 10.